Have you had questions in regards to the Hex free copy you're going to get on Pulse? Or maybe you weren't sure if you should do the one-for-one swap between Pulsex and Pulse because you missed the Pulse sacrifice? Or maybe you're just not sure about your sacrifice payments. Or maybe you heard about liquid loans and you found it very interesting. And there's just maybe a smidge just missing. Like, do they lock it up and can you pay it back? Or is it stuck there for a period of time? Does it have to stay outstanding? Or what happens under a flash crash? Like what happened to Ethereum one day where they lost over 33% in a single day. We're going to cover all those in different ways because we've gotten all of those questions in the comments below. So if you care to leave a comment, you can leave them down below and talk about them all in detail, and we'll feature you in the show. So with that being said, if this is your first time here, well, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it's good to freaking see you. And if you're returning, you haven't already subscribed, what is going on, brother? You've already been here before. And I know I can say brother because it's all fucking dudes who watch the channel now. We have questions about Pulse and Hex and liquid loans throughout this video. If you want to support the channel, you can check out some links down below. Also, you can check out the Twitter down below in the description if you'd like to help me beat my buddy in a contest where he actually bet me crypto that I will not be able to beat his Twitter following. So if you want to jump down below, I actually have a pinned tweet on that, so you can jump down below, jump over to Twitter, press the follow button, and then retweet something that you found interesting that I shared. Helps spread the word, because the only way I'm going to be able to beat him is if you help. So if you don't find a value in the video, don't do it. If you do find value in this video, jump over there. Do that. It would be appreciated. This question actually came in on Twitter. Nice internet cable. This in regards to my doing having some issues with my ISP, internet service provider. So, bro, quick question. If I buy 50,000 Hex and put it in Hex in my MetaMask, so put the Hex into his MetaMask, then at the time of the drop, in regards to Pulse, I will get a 50,000 hexes extra on the Pulsex chain. Is that right? Ending with a total of 100,000 hex, 50,000 in MetaMask, and 50,000 in Pulse chain. That is correct. That is correct. So when Pulse chain launches, you will have a copy. Will that copy be worth the same amount? I think is a interesting question that I actually took a lot of time and effort into making this video here where we talk about it and explain how a bridge works and why parity is actually going to happen very soon after launch. So if you want to, click the link over here where this says Stolt, and then click the search on the channel page for parity with Hex, right? Pulse chain parity at Hex, something along those lines. You can pull this up. But how will this actually play out? You're gonna have to pull up your MetaMask. So if you pull up MetaMask, I'll pull mine up real quick. So this is one here, right? You can click up here at the top, and it says Add Network. Once you click Add Network, because this is Ethereum mainnet, right? So you click the Add Network, brings you to this page. You're going to need to fill this out. I'm sure there's plenty of tutorials, on YouTube. You're going to have to fill this out here. Once you fill this out here, you'll see another network up here. that's going to be Pulse. So if you have 50,000 on Ethereum, right, because it's in MetaMask, it's going to be on Ethereum, you're going to have 50,000 on there, on this network. Once you switch here and you click over to PulseChain, then you're going to have 50,000 there. Now, if you want to bring them all to the same network, say you want to bring your PHEX over to Ethereum, then you'd go to, and you're saying, you know, Pulsex chain, it's PulseChain, right? So this is PulseChain, and Pulsex is this, but they're actually two separate things. So we should definitely talk about that for just a moment, because people are just not aware, right? It's so early on. So PulseChain is the copy of Ethereum. So everything on Ethereum, including your 50,000 hex, you're going to get a copy of on Pulse. And if you want to take your 50,000 that you just added the network, right? You just added the PulseChain network, and you want to take that 50,000 PHEX and you want to bring it over to Ethereum, or vice versa, you want to bring your hex to PulseChain from Ethereum, you can go through and do that on Pulsex. Pulsex is the DEX as well as the bridge. So they're gonna. This has both of those features where you can bring your Ethereum hex over to Pulse, or you can bring your Pulse hex over to Ethereum, or you can go through and switch your hex for something else like Pulsex or Pulse if you want to. So hopefully that was helpful. If you want to see more about the parity and why they're going to be like trading at the same price, in my opinion, you can check out this video as well. Just search here for, you know, that, and you'll be able to find it. Now, Arnold Bach, this is on YouTube comments. Thanks for the content. I got in on Pulsex sacrifice, but missed out on the Pulse sacrifice. Think I should switch? Think I should 1-for-1 Pulsex for Pulse during the first 48 hours, or just try and DCA, that's the dollar cost average if you're not sure what that means, some capital into Pulse for the first few weeks and months of launch. Now, my first thoughts on this, if we were talking, Arnold, would be, what are you more bullish on? Pulsex or Pulse? I'm bullish on both. Personally, I'm very bullish on Pulsex. By the way it's set up, right? I'm very bullish on it. Now, given my stance that I'm extremely bullish on Pulsex, I would DCA into that. So that just means like, okay, I'm creating capital in this other way, right? Whether you're working a job, whether it's from investments of some sort, or whether it's reducing or reallocating a portfolio of some sort, and I would DCA into it. I personally would not trade Pulsex for Pulse 1-for-1. What if on the day of launch, one Pulsex can get you, 25 Pulse, right? It's possible. It could go the other direction. I personally don't think it will, but it could go one Pulse for 25 Pulsex, right? Could. There's going to be a lot of people FOMOing into it, but I personally wouldn't do that in the pre-window, like before that 26 hours beforehand. I would not actually trade anything during that time unless you're, I just wouldn't do that personally. Let that happen to other people. Yes, there's going to be some people who are able to come away with some very positive results. Not something I'm willing to do. I'll let other people do that if they want to take that risk on. I don't plan on doing that. I'll wait till launch, and then I'm just going to be a net buyer over time, right? There's going to be a lot of people who are going to sell off because it's been a year of locked up capital, right? People have locked up their capital with Pulse for over a year, so there's going to be selling there, right? Relatively small amount of people who got into that versus Pulsex. There's going to be people who are going to be buying Pulse because they sacrificed for that, right? So Pulsex sacrifice ended in February. It's basically probably going to launch in the month of May, so not too much of a difference between those two. But the people in Pulse locked up their shit a year ago. So some people who've locked up their stuff a year ago, their life circumstances have changed completely. So they might be dumping a bunch of Pulse just to pull some capital out, right? And people, a lot of people who got into Pulsex did not get into Pulse, as you mentioned here, and they'll FOMO and they'll buy into Pulse. Which one is going to win out? I don't know. I think more people are going to be personally selling a Pulse in the beginning. If there's a dip, that'd be fantastic. But then again, what happens if it's completely wrong and there's so much buying pressure that it actually never has that like dip right off the bat, like a lot of the things do, right? It doesn't have that major sell-off. I'm not sure. But that's my intention. I'll just be continuing to buy through the dips and DCA in to Pulsex and Hex, probably not so much Pulse necessarily, a little bit, but over time. So hopefully that's helpful, Arnold. But let's go on to the next question in regards to sacrifice balance. So this is from Phoenix Linux. This will be just a quick one. So if you go to pulsechain.com, and this is what the page comes up, right? You just scroll down, has some verbiage here at the top, got a couple websites right here, and you just click this. So this is a sacrifice checker. Once you come over here, right? So this is already connected. So this is that test wallet I have that's already connected. So this is already the wallet that's on here. If not, you connect your wallet, or if you're just using your computer that you don't do crypto on, right? Like that's what this one is for me. You would copy and paste the correct address in here to actually find your balance, to see, hey, you got a balance for Pulsex and you got a balance for Pulse here, right? And then you can go through in this. I think my sacrifice amount is incorrect. You can click on this and take you over. Did you sacrifice before April 6th or after, right? If you're after April 6th, you're SOL. That means shit out of luck. Beforehand, you can click this here. If you sacrificed on the network, the only valid addresses to send crypto to were boom and boom. Double check that you sent your crypto to one of these addresses in Ethereum, like network. If you did not send it to one of these addresses, you probably sent your sacrifice to a scammer, and there's nothing we can do for you. So pay attention to this and just read through this. It's pretty simple, but that is what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to go to pulsechain.com, scroll halfway down the page, click this, connect your wallet, search, and then go through and just answer those questions there. Hopefully that's helpful. Phoenix, appreciate you commenting. If you guys have any comments, leave them down below. There's no there's no stupid questions. There's only stupid questions that are not asked, right? This is from, I'm not going to, let's see, Izamidi Anopsych. What's up, bro? That's an interesting name. This helped me clear up things, and this is in regards to liquid loans video. I have several videos on liquid loans on the channel if you care to check them out. I've been a little trepidatious to look into liquid loans because I didn't really understand it. I was scared of liquidation, but this really shed some light on some of my confusion. I think I have some questions though. For me to get liquidated, the price has to drop X percentage in a single day because of a flash crash. And am I understanding this correctly? So we're going to get into that in just a moment, but you can think about it that way, yes. Also, can you cash out from a loan position at any time, or do you have to be locked for a certain period? Please do more liquid loans. Hey, thank you for the question. Thank you everybody for the question. This is awesome. Okay, well let's pull up liquid loans real quick, and we'll understand how liquid loans works, and then we'll get into each part of your question. First, we'll get into this, but we got to understand some context, like what might be possible, right? So I just looked up. Well, let's start here. And then we'll get into like flash crash stuff. So this is liquid loans, right? If you look at this, it's just a flow chart. You have Pulse right here. You put that into a vault. and that's their smart contract. Right? So you put your Pulse into a smart contract and you get USDL. Now, what you do with the USDL is up to you. There's the stability pool, and then you can get, you can earn Pulse in this pool and get a loan token, right? And then you could stake that and earn more. Or you could take your USDL out and go buy, some cows for your farm or whatever it is that you do with your money, right? Now, what about this vault? Because that's what your question is actually about. Here, can you cash out from the loan position at any time, or do you have to be locked for a certain period? So this vault, there's no interest and there's no payment period. So that means you can cash out at any point that you like. If you're like, okay, this is just extra capital that I'm going to hold Pulse and I don't plan on selling, you could leave it in there and pull some money out and then continue doing your thing in life, and say 24 months later, say there's a 10x on that money, right? Well, that means you're really, really, really over collateralized. What does that mean? Well, you have a loan balance of, say, $100, and you have a Pulse balance of $100,000. So you have a lot of extra money just sitting there, which you could do something with. You could take the Pulse out at any time. So when you're thinking about cashing out, so you can cash out as in 2 years later, you can pull more USDL out, assuming that pull USD out and utilize that to go buy more cows or whatever, or buy a motorcycle or do whatever you want, or put it into the stability pool, or sell it for something else and start acquiring other stuff, right? Or at that time, 2 years in the future, you could just go in and pay your shit off, right? You could take all your Pulse out of the system and put it into another protocol, or just hold it in your wallet. So to answer the question is, yeah, at any point in time, you can take your money out and pay it back, right? At any point in time, go ahead and do that. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's look at the other part of your question one more time. For me to get liquidated, the price has to drop X percentage in one single day, basically a flash crash. Am I understanding this correctly? In order to get liquidated, you have to fall to 110% collateralization. So I created an example that we're going to take a look at, but let's first take a look at the flash crash portion of what you're talking about. And I went to CoinDesk to do this. This is ETH suffers record setting, and this is actually older, this is in 2020. ETH suffers record-setting 33% drop amid global market turmoil, right? So this is, it was updated on the September 2021, but it was originally in March 2020. So ETH drops by 33% in one day. So this is Ethereum, right? Like, you would think that the volatility of liquid loans, the volatility of Pulse is probably going to be a lot greater than it is for Ethereum. Ethereum has a lot more users. Ethereum has been out for a lot longer. Ethereum has a much higher price. All these things can contribute to a decrease in volatility. That's not to say Ethereum is not volatile, right? I think Ethereum might be down, 50+% at this point, right? But over the course of a period of time. But in a single day, as you mentioned, let's take a look at an example. So let's just say that you have 10,000 tokens of Pulse, right? Say it's trading at $1, just for easy math, so we don't have to add all the zeros. That gives us $10,000 in terms of value of Pulse. Say if we wanted to go buy that new cow, and it was $6,200, right? Because it comes with a certificate of authenticity as an NFT with it, right? And we take this $6,200 and we pull it out and we go buy our NFT cow. Now, that means that our safety ratio, right? Like that's your collateralization rate is the term that they use, I believe, the collateralization rate or something like that. Basically, you're at 160%. So you have a value of 10,000 and you pulled out 6,200 from your 10,000. That's locked in there. You can pay that off at any moment in time. There's no interest and there's no period of time which you have to pay that back. Now, what if this happens again, right? Probably be worse or something like that, potentially, right? So what if we have a 33% price drop in a single 24-hour period of time on Pulse? And we saw UST and Luna on the Terra network go from 90. Well, they're over. Like that shit's done. That shit's done and over with. It will not come back, in my opinion. Period. Ever in the future. It's going to die, then maybe the guy will try to, if he doesn't get sued to death or killed, will try to bring something else back. But basically, they went from $90 down to less than a fraction of a penny, less than a thousandth of a penny, less than a thousandth of a penny in about 4 days. From $90 per Luna down to a fraction of a penny, a small fraction of a penny. In about 4 days, right? That's obviously, I don't think that would ever happen with Pulse, but you know, the only way that would happen is if Richard Hart does something, right? Like life happens to him and he changes his mind and does something, right? And it causes it to drop that much. Perfectly possible. It is a risk to consider, you know, based upon what you believe to be accurate about what he says. And what he doesn't say, right? So, and his actions, right? Because it's going to be the best thing. The best indicator is his action. So say we have a 33% drop. So that means the new price for Pulse is 67 cents, right? That means our new Pulse value is $6,700. We borrowed $6,200. We have a current value of $6,700. This all happened in 1 day. And now our safety ratio is 108. That means this loan is up for liquidation to lose their Pulse, right? Which would also potentially cause a taxable event depending on your jurisdiction. Talk to your accountant about that. Right? Because if you got your shit at zero at cost basis and now it's $6,700 and you're selling that effectively by liquidation, then you're going to have a capital gain on that, right? So that could be a taxable event. So not only does it hurt to lose your pulse, right? If you're dead, right? Your pulse, actual pulse, your heart beating. It's not super fun for that, I bet. But in this case, you're losing your pulse and probably creating a taxable event. So two things that some people may not want. I don't like taxes, right? So in this case, in a 1 day event, if you were at 161% safety ratio, a 33% drop in 1 day would mean that you would get liquidated in 1 day. What is the probability of this type of thing happening? Probably pretty low. However, we do know crazy shit happens. Look at the last 30 months of what the government's done. So I wouldn't write this thing off. It's definitely something to consider. But we also know that prices in crypto swing greatly. But it might take time, right? Bitcoin, I'm pulling it up right now. Bitcoin has had its high at 69,000, right? $69,000 and is currently $29,000, and that's the largest and most well known, has the best brand name out there in the marketplace, and they're down over 50%, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if they drop down below 20K. So I do think that there could be much larger swings than 33%. Something probably closer to 90% would probably be more accurate. But with that being said, a 90% swing in a single day is probably pretty unlikely, unless you're a project like Luna, right? Terra Luna, unless you're a project like them, it's probably not going to happen in a single day. It would probably happen over the course of, unless something extreme is happening with what Richard Hart is doing with his money or what he is saying, that could happen, right? But it's probably going to happen over the course of some period of time that's longer than 24 hours, which means in this case here, somebody could add to their portfolio if they wanted. So say, you know, 1 week it's down 10%, right? And you see that your safety ratio is 145%. Then by the end of the next week, you're down 20%. So you're like, oh, 129%. Dang, I don't want to do that, right? So then you wait till Wednesday and it's down 25%. So you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to add in another $10,000 worth of this, right? So you went, now your safety ratio changed. You're at 300%, right? Pulse is still down 25%, but your safety ratio went up. So you're not like on the first chopping block to get liquidated. So Pulse drops down 50%. You're still going to be good here, right? Because you're way over collateralized. Your loan is for $6,200, and you got $20,000. You had at the original amount $20,000 worth of Pulse put in there, right? So your 320 was that original one. Now it's at 167. If it drops to 90, you're still going to be SOL, right? You'd have to put in a substantial amount. Like if you wanted to. So the thing about the liquid loans, right, is you don't have to make payment and you don't have any payment terms, like how you have to pay them back. And the benefit of that can be obvious, like in terms of monthly cash flow. On the other hand, you're taking on volatility risk, right? Volatility risk is that Pulse is going to be crazy volatile because it's a crypto period and because it's a brand new project. So you can have these crazy swings, right? If you wanted to do something like that, then you'd probably borrow $600 or something like that, and you'd be way over collateralized. Something like $1,600 probably. Whoops. There we go. This is a 1,200%, right? So that means you put in $20,000 worth of Pulse, you borrow $1,600. There's a 90% drop in Pulse's price over the course of some period of time. And remember, you're like, well, I could pay attention to that. I just talked to a buddy of mine whose friend likes to go on vacation with his family. And when he goes on vacation with his family, he's traveling, and he says that he doesn't get onto his phone and he doesn't look at crypto, right? So what happens when something like that happens, and over the course of, say, 2 weeks of being on vacation or a month of being on vacation, the price drastically changes, right? If you're down 90% in the course of 2 or 3 weeks or maybe a month, and you're at 125% safety ratio, right? And then who's to say it can go down even further than that, right? It easily could. So the luxury of not making a payment and not having any terms is awesome, right? It's fantastic. I think this protocol is great. Like, I'm very bullish on it. But just not necessarily, like, I'm not necessarily going to be taking loans out on here. I think that I'm bullish on it for other reasons. Maybe I'll take out loans, but only for relatively small amounts on this, right? So if you think about this in another way, you're pulling 8% of your capital out, right? So you can take your $1,600 and you can put that into something else to earn more money or something along those lines. But I'm definitely bullish on this, but there's a big risk in terms of volatility, especially when it comes to Pulse and just crypto in general. Now, we went through 4 things and related to Hex, the pre-launch, one-for-one trading on Pulse, checking your SAC balance, as well as talking about liquid loans. And if you have any questions like these or other questions related to this kind of stuff, leave them down below in the comments. I'm grabbing the interesting questions, and we're doing them in separate videos. So if you found this video interesting, make sure you press that thumbs up button, press the subscribe button, the bell notification, jump over to Twitter, as I mentioned. Posting a lot on Twitter per day, so you can jump over to Twitter, say what's good over there. Also, if you did find value in this video, like I mentioned earlier, I have a contest with my buddy where he bet 50,000 Hex that I can't beat him by July 30th in terms of his following on Twitter. So the only way I see that happening, because I'm at 3,000 something and he's at 14,000 something, is with your help. So if you found value in the video, jump over there, say what's good, press the follow button, retweet something out that you saw that was interesting that I tweeted out. If you like fitness related content, you can check out the other icon around here at the end of the video that allows you to take you over to the other YouTube channel all around fitness related content, or you can jump over to Instagram and just say what's good, or the TikTok. Got 50,000 followers over at TikTok. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Peace.